Alright, boys and girls, Tom Bay Surfcaster and Golden Gate Plugworks here again, just to give you a rundown on the second lure out of my bag after the tin. Senor Bucktail. Okay, you can see there's quite a few here. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about them, what they do, what differences some have, and how those affect what we're trying to do searching water and different areas of the columns. Okay, so I'm partial to these smiling bills. I think that's what they call them, smiling bill or smiling Jim, something like that. And then these jetty casters right here by Andrus. I've been fishing Andrus bucktails as long as I've been fishing bucktails. So you can see the majority of them that I got are made by Andrus. There's a couple Spro type up here, Jig Addict. What's up, Wayne? A couple of these banana styles down here. But let's talk about them. You can see, I've got them ranging from fatties. I think this one is 3 ounce, maybe 2.5 ounce. Wine red, fish those at night. Black, fish at night. Chartreuse, I'll fish day or night. And white, yeah, day or night as well. But you'll notice I'm partial to the red wrap. Love the red wrap. It's just personal preference, I guess. You know, some have white, but most of them are red. This one is a trip. I just got this one from a friend of mine, Jeff, and it has this trippy articulated hook set up. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. But yeah, check that. So I guess get something on there, some kind of live bait strip or something, and bouncing this ball along the bottom. I bet this would crush halibut. But yeah, the bucktail is a very versatile lure, much like the tin. I fish it a lot the same way. It's a sort of a fish seeker, structure seeker. Cast it out, stop, put the brakes on the line to let it straighten out if it's windy, and then wait for it to hit the bottom, and then you're gonna get a little thud when it hits, and you pick it up, and I just reel, pretty slow. I reel as slow as I can. Maybe every 5th crank of the reel, I'm giving a pop, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. It doesn't really matter. There's no rule, no set rule, but it's just, how it feels. But you want, most important, like all lures, you want to maintain contact. So you'll see some of them, like here I had Wayne tie me up a sparse one, okay? Smaller, I think it's like a 1/2 ounce with very little hair in the tail, okay? This is gonna allow this lure to sink quickly, okay? And when you've got light bucktails like that, you want them to sink quickly, okay? You don't want them floating around. You can see these are sort of sparse too. Now you're getting a little bit heavier, like 1.5 ounces, and you can see that the tuft of bucktail hair is getting much bigger, right? So that's going to slow down the sink rate of this lure. That's why the majority of these larger lures have more hair. You can see this one's a little bit sparser compared to these ones up here, which are a little bit more bulky. And, that's basically how these are designed. The more hair, the slower they fall. Also, when this hair gets wet, it really pulses when you pop it. You're reeling, and then you pop, boom, pop, boom. So it's like, and it really pulses. You can see I'm hunting the bottom and crushing rocks on the way. So that's a sign you're in the zone. You don't want to be, touching down on bottom, dragging it along the bottom. You want it to ride just above the bottom, 2-3 feet off the bottom. So if you cast one out, say you got, you're going big, it's big surf, you cast a 3 ounce out, and then boom, you're dragging the bottom the whole way. So then you go to a 2 or a 2.5 if it's not, if the 2 is getting pulled. If the 2 is too heavy, drop down to a 1.5 or a 1. All right, it's that simple. And if you're hitting bottom, it's too heavy, so you go down in weight and you see what you get. You've got, I've got this little 3/4 ounce head right here. 1 ounce. I think this is 1.5 ounces. Yeah, 1 ounce, 2 ounce, 3 ounce. No, this is 2 ounce and this is 1.5 ounces. That's what it feels like. 1.5 ounces, 2 ounce. This boy is the 3 ounce. This guy right here, this red one, 3 ounce, 2 ounce. These guys are all 1.5. You can see. But sometimes you tie them with a little flash of boo. Sometimes you tie them straight with nothing. Maybe you want to put a little tuft of red on top. Maybe you like a little olive on top. How about a little blue? Doesn't matter. You do what makes you feel comfortable, what makes you feel confident, okay? The most important thing about fishing is confidence in what you're throwing. If you're just throwing your bag at the ocean without really any clue of what you're doing, you're probably wasting your time. I mean, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while, but you really want to give it the best opportunity that you can. Otherwise, just it's a lot of effort for nothing. But little flash, crystal flash on the side gives just a little more pop with the light. You can see here's another one from Jig Addict Wayne. He's got a couple little strips of flash in there just to give it a little pop, a little something for the fish to grab onto and notice and entice them to bite. So basically, your method of fishing this is the same. You cast it out, you let it hit the bottom, and you pick it up, and you reel as slow as you possibly can, popping that rod tip once, twice, maybe once, then a couple more cranks, twice. Then, maybe just like the tin, a few, 10, 15, 20 cranks, you're going to let it settle back down to the bottom. You're going to let it hit bottom again. Then you're going to pick it up and do the same thing. 10, 15 cranks, couple pops in the middle, and let it sink down again. Okay, that ensures you're keeping that lure down in the strike zone where the big fish are. Big fish are holding on the bottom, always. I mean, unless they're feeding on a topwater bite, the bigger fish are holding in the bottom where the current is sort of muted. They get a little structure, a little hole. Like I was talking about the tins, you could walk the dog with this too, cast it out, follow it down the beach as it drifts, as it's getting dragged by the current, and then once it stops, you found your hole. That's where you try to fish. That's what you're targeting. So you can see that the choices are endless. A couple other differences between different kinds are the hook shanks. You've got short hook shank, or long hook shanks. So right here is a short hook shank. You can see the hook is a lot closer to the head than like this one, where it's further away. Some people swear by long hook shank. I'm not really too partial, but the one really important thing is the hook. Okay, check these things out, man. They are beefy. Okay, there ain't no striper in the Pacific Ocean that's gonna bend this thing out. No way. All right, so when you're looking at bucktails, this is the first thing you want to look at. Is this hook shank round, or is it sort of squared off? Okay, you want to look for the squared off version. You could see it on this as a giant hook. Yeah, it's sort of flat on the edge, rounded on top and bottom. And that is never ever going to straighten. You're going to have to hook up to a Mack truck and tie it off to a building for that thing to straighten out. All right, so when thinking about which one to throw, it really depends on what part of the water column you want to hit. You know, if you're trying to hug the bottom, you go heavy. If you want to hit the middle, you get something a little lighter. If you want just to skim right underneath the white water on the top, you're going to go light. And again, light with bushy is going to make it sink slower. Light, sparse is going to sink faster. So these small little nuances are going to be what keeps you in the zone, what keeps you sort of hunting the fish in their home court and give you the best opportunity to hook up. So that's basically bucktail in a nutshell. I would say if you really want to learn how to fish the bucktail, you go on YouTube and you search John Skinner, and or buy his book, Fishing the Bucktail, because he's basically the master of a lot of things fishing, especially fishing for striped bass. He's been a mentor of mine, somebody who I've looked up to and watched for as long as he's been on YouTube. And before that, he was talking on Stripers Online forum, which is still around, you guys. I don't know if you know that resource, but SOL, Striper Online, is sort of an online chat forum with probably 20 years, maybe 15 at the least, of information about everything, literally everything. Plug building, plug finishing, plug design, fishing styles, fishing techniques. You get it all from Striper Online. So if you haven't checked that resource, definitely check it out. It is something you can get lost in, and basically do your homework on these lures. It's best when you're going out there and you've got your bag full of lures that you know what your lures are doing. So get out there and just test them. I've always thought that it's fishermen are sold on lures. Shit, right? I got another box too. So fishermen like to buy lots of lures, but it really makes no sense if you have no idea what the lure is doing. So for me, it was like, okay, I'm new at bucktailing, so I'm only gonna fish the bucktail. I think I only fished the bucktail for it was at least a season where the bucktail was the lure I threw the most. And it probably is a season that I caught the most fish. Bottom line, when fishing, the commercial fishermen back east, when they're fishing for striped bass, they're fishing a three-way with a weight on it and a bucktail hanging off, trailing. And they put meat on the deck all day long that way. And that's, you learn from the pros, and that's what they tell you to do. It's just something that when you're fishing different styles of lures, that you really want to take the time and spend, at least one outing fishing, just one lure, maybe two lures. The bucktail and the great place to start. If you're only going to fish two lures ever again, in the tin, no doubt would be my choice. Then probably something, like a pencil or a popper, or maybe even a bottle plug. And I'm thinking I'm just going to go down the list of plugs that I have, plugs I fish, and I'll just talk about each one, while I've got time and while this is sort of playing out. We want to help each other out. We're all in this together. So if it makes a difference, I will keep doing it. Because that's how I learned, watching and listening to what other fishermen had to say. So that's the best way to learn. You got questions, ask them, and I'll do my best to answer them. But let's keep hope alive with this craziness that's going on. Stay safe, stay kind to each other. And when we get back in the water, guys, let's not just take fish because the regs and the idiots in Sacramento tell us that it's okay. That's bullshit. If we want this fishery to live, if we want to be catching striped bass in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, we, the fishermen, need to educate one another. We need to practice catch and release. We need to do it properly to ensure the fish mortality rate does not occur after. All right, we want to let these fish go when they're ready. That means maybe not dragging them up on the beach for a 5-minute photo shoot. Maybe not trying to get all the measurements or the weight, At the end of the day, does it really matter? I mean, we're just catching fish. Yeah, we got a PB. You could tell it's your PB. It's, you snap a picture as fast as you can. Keep that fish as close to the water as possible. You don't want to drag that thing 25 yards up the beach because that's just 25 yards down the beach. You got to drag it to get it back to the water and resuscitate it. So, having said that, let's keep this going. It's fun for me, and I'm glad to do it to help people out. So, peace out, catch and release, and be kind to one another. Stay safe. All right.